Are you ready to relax and unwind? Are you tired of living a stressful life? All right, stay tuned because we're going to deal with that today. All right, I'm Scott Patton. I'm your host. This is the free-ebooks.net Superstack show. Black Friday's coming, and we have got some amazing bundles, and the Abundance Superstack is one of the ones we're going to be talking about today. I have a very, very special guest. He's got 8 academic degrees and several certifications, including a Bachelor of Arts in both psychology and philosophy from Minnesota State University, Moorhead. He's written a number of books, and he is a chill dude, excellent energy, and I can tell that he has de-stressed and unwound. And we're going to bring him on right now. Welcome to the show, Spencer Coffman. How are you doing today?
Hey, great to be here. I'm doing well.
Awesome. All right. So how did you get 8 degrees?
Well, it started out with 1 and then continued on from there. The first one was really, I was just taking like a general degree, and I met with my counselor after a year, and she's like, the program, you're 90% done with all the credits and you still have 1 whole year left. What are you going to do? You only need I needed like 6 more credits. And I said, well, I guess I'll have to look into other options. And then they said, well, you could join some of these 1-year programs and get another degree. And so after some thought, I ended up doing that. And then when I went to the 4-year colleges and beyond there, I always thought, well, I wanted to do psychology. That was a main thing. And I loved philosophy. So I thought, well, I'm not going to be here for 8 years, so I might as well do 2 of them and get them both done and at the same time, because I'm not going to, it's too expensive to spend all your time there. So yeah, pretty much any time I learned, I just developed that pattern to do 2 degrees every time I went to school somewhere. And
where were you when I went to school? I spent 4 years and I only got 1 degree.
Well, that's pretty normal though. That's, yeah.
And that was hard.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I remember I had to get waivers filled out from counselors and then the academic department chair to approve me to take more than 12 or 15 credits in a semester. I was trying to take like 30. Why you want to take 30? Because I have 2 majors. I need to get them both done. Why don't you just come here another year? I said, you know what tuition costs? I don't have that kind of money.
Right. So this is a great example of just being determined, taking your steps, and getting, achieving what your goals are.
Yeah. And it can be done. So anyone out there that thinks that, life's too hard or I can't do this, you can do it. All you have to do is put your mind to it and try and look and see what it would take to make it happen. If you want to earn whatever, double the money, you might have to work twice as hard. And so it's all what a cost and a reward is. If the reward is more than the cost, then do it. If you're willing to make that sacrifice. When I had, like you said, 8 degrees, that's a lot of work. I wasn't out with friends on the weekends. I didn't go to parties. I didn't go drinking. I never went to a club at all when I was in college. Why? Because I was at home reading textbooks, writing papers. You can make it happen. You can do anything you want to do. You just have to do it.
Right. And that's the main reason why most people go to college, isn't it? To go to the bars and the discos and party.
Yeah.
And then they come out of it with a huge debt and no real career, aspirations. But
right. The other thing too is, I'm not advocating that everyone should go to college because, I would say, I don't know the percent, but if someone said, 70% of people don't even use their degree, I probably wouldn't dispute it because they probably don't. Learn some trades, learn some skills, learn college, sure, whatever you want to do and be happy with it, But the main thing is you got to do something you enjoy. And if it takes, if it takes you 8 degrees to figure out what you enjoy, then as long as you're not under a mountain of debt, that's the main thing. because that can mess up your life. Like you said, how many
And that's,
people leave with $40,000-$50,000 in student loans that they're just hoping someone will help them out with, and it's probably
yeah.
not going to happen. So
No, and also we are creatures of habit. So if
mhm,
my habit is spending 4 years and getting $50,000 in debt,
right,
what's going to happen when I graduate? Another
yeah,
$50,000 in debt,
right. You're going to
perhaps,
get
right?
that new pickup truck for 70 grand, and you're going to finance it for 600 a month for the next 12 years, and then you're going to buy a mattress and a TV, and I mean, we're creatures of habit, and that's it's not good. Debt is definitely a major stress in life.
So one habit that people seem to have totally zoned out on, ignored, and make no effort at all at building is the habit of relaxation
That's so
and
true.
winding. So,
Yeah.
so let's talk a little bit about how can people relax? First of all, like what do you see as the reasons why people are so stressed, and what are some simple steps people can take?
Sure. So I think people are stressed nowadays just because we try to do too much. Human nature, and don't even give me male, female, like all humans are the same way. We're wired to overreach. We get something, we want more. We have 100,000 in the bank account. No one says, all right, this is good. Let me just invest it at 10% and I'll get 10 grand a year and be happy with it and keep working my 9 to 5. We say, no, let's try to make even more. Can we turn that into 200, 400? How can I be set for life? And what we don't realize is that we're already set for life. Whatever you have, whatever skill set you have, it's set you up for life. So if you're working a 9 to 5 daily job and you're happy, you're set for life. Yes, you might be working for the rest of your life, but you have everything you need. And that's the huge first part about relaxation is changing that mindset and accepting that, look, take a hard look at your life and understand that, do I have everything I need? Am I happy? And if the answers are no to either of those, then you need to make the change. And that could be a lot of work. It might be, you might be afraid, but make the change so that you say, all right, I'm happy with this life. I'm happy with what I have. And then decide to be content. And that's a huge thing. I would say a lot of people, the reason that they are so stressed is because they always want more. And that's what it is. Whether it's a bigger car, a
Yeah,
bigger house, a better job, we always
right.
want more.
Well, when you said overreach, you hit the nail on the head for me,
Hmm.
okay? Because we're talking here about these super PACs, right? And I thought,
Yes.
I'm talking to the organizers, and I said, we could do this and this and this. And of course, they're creative, I'm creative, and we had this plan.
Yep.
Well, the plan was like 9 live streams in 9 days, and it
Hmm.
turned into 11 or 12. Okay,
Yeah.
so some of them, yeah. And then who writes, who hosts it? Me. Who
Right.
writes the emails that go out? Me. Who
Uh-huh.
does the graphics for the me? Who
Yep.
sends the email so that to come here, which I almost forgot today? Me. And I'm just thinking, oh my
Oh,
goodness, like, yeah, absolutely
yeah.
overreach.
Oh,
If I
I'm
really
guilty of
wanted
it
to do
too. Yep. I always joke, one thing that I've really tried hard to follow is that if you add something new in your life, something has to go, like at a certain point in time, you figure out what your limit is. And so like for me, if it's like, okay, I can have a main job and another part-time job and maybe like a couple hobbies and maybe a side hustle. And you figure out what that number is. Some people it's 2, some people it's 3, some people it's 5. Once you kind of figure out what your maximum number is, you got to stay there. So like for me personally, it's like 5. So as soon as I say, oh yeah, I can help out another client with this job, okay, something else might have to go, because you can't keep doing all of it to the same ability all the time. And so that's something that helps with us overreachers, is that we want to take on everything. If you said to me, hey, I want you to help me with whatever, do some interviews or free ebooks or do this or do that, I'd be like, yeah, I'm all in. But then I'd be like, wait a minute, when am I going to do that? When I'm sleeping,
And
But
there's an old saying, I don't know if it's still being said or not, but
mhm,
when I was growing up, it was, if you want to get something done, find
yeah,
someone who's busy and convince them to do it, because they're like a
yeah,
go-getters. And
yeah,
that's like, yeah, I'm busy, And then people, like you said, oh, can you help me
Yeah.
with this? Sure, but I'm busy. And I think we really need to learn to say no. It's like, yeah,
Right.
I can't do, I can do it, but I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I wrote an article on that, on saying no, how important it is one time, but it is. It's just, we're taught that we need to help others and that we need to say yes and be there for people, which is all true. But at some point, if we keep saying yes all the time, we take on too much, and then we're no good to ourselves, and we're also no good to others, because if we're trying to help someone and we're overwhelmed, or we have too much on our plate, we do less, subpar work, that's not helping them, that's hurting them. Or we forget, and then we don't show up, or we miss a deadline, which hurts them even more than subpar work. So there is a point where you have to say no, and that's a very important part of reducing your stress in life.
So, Spencer, can we say no, period, full stop, no explanation? Because as you were talking, I was thinking, yeah, like someone asked me to do something and I say, no, I'm sorry, I can't. And then I give some flimsy excuse that just sort of flitted into my head,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm thinking more and more, and I'm working on this myself, is just
Yeah.
like, no, sorry, can't help you.
Right.
And why not? Well, because I can't. Like, there's no
Right.
why. There's no why to it. It's just,
There's no why.
I don't want to.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And
it's yeah.
and
It
I have a
is.
hard time with that, right? I mean, to look someone in the eye and say, I don't want to help you, it just goes, like you were saying, we're wired to help, right? And
We
it just
are.
goes like, it's like, oh, I don't want to
I
say that.
know. I
But it
think
becomes
that
so easy.
it does. And I think that it is important to just say, just no. And if people say, why not? That's my business. If it's like, if people would say, well, hey, why don't you come over today after work? Or why don't we go out for a drink? Or let's go out to eat. And, you say, no, thank you. Well, why not? You have other plans? No. Well, then what's your
Yeah.
problem? Look,
Yeah,
if
I
I
do have
choose to
other
go
plans.
home and sit in the closet for an hour when I get done with work and meditate, that's my business.
And that's
If
your plan, right?
and that's my plan. Yeah. So it doesn't matter. Maybe I want to go home and do nothing, And so I think a lot of that is if we say no, part of that goes on to other people and us too. When someone tells us no, is it's a respect. If someone doesn't want to do
Solid
something,
boundary.
who are we to make them do it? If I
Right.
say,
Right.
hey, let's go out for a cocktail after this, you say, no, I can't. Why would I force you to do that? That's not right for
Right.
me to do.
No, you're
So
right.
that's something that I think the askers need to understand, is that to respect, like you said, the boundaries. And if someone really
Right.
doesn't want to, now, of course, there's a fine line. If somebody, has been holed up in their house and they're sad because their dog died or something, you might need to push them a little to get them out of the house. But,
Yeah, so this is not a black and white scenario that we're
right.
talking about. You need to have empathy, you need to be aware, you need
Yeah.
to pay attention to the person, because
Yeah.
how many people are crying for help and being
Yeah.
totally ignored, right? That's not what we're
Especially with
talking
this
about.
virtual COVID society that we now live
Right.
in. So many people are desperate for human interaction.
Yeah. And this sounds like a really bad time to make the comment I'm about to make. But as you were talking, you reminded me of this meme I saw. And it's this guy my age, and it says, it's Saturday night. I'm home alone. I'm not drinking anything. And there was one other thing, I forget what he says. It's my childhood punishment is now my adult goal.
Yeah. Isn't that true? We're grounded and we love it.
I'm grounded. That's what it is. I'm grounded.
Yeah.
And it's like my punishment as a teenager is my
Mm-hmm.
adult goal now. So I just laughed and laughed and
It's
laughed
so
when I
funny.
saw that.
But it's true. I mean, I think the more I would say wise or learned we become, the more we enjoy intellectual thought and books and acquiring knowledge, the more we say, you know what, I'd rather be at home. Something
Right.
about a fireplace crackling and a rocking chair and some dim lights and a good book, or a writing tablet, or people that like to sketch. It's like, would you rather do that or be out at the club with 1,000 decibel bass beaming and you can't walk because there's so many people. It's like the choice isn't hard. And I think deep down, most people would agree with that. Some might say, no, I'd rather be at the club. But if they really thought of it, they're going to say, no, I wouldn't, because it's expensive. You drink too much, you get sick, it's loud, you have a headache. I mean, the benefits and the costs it's not even worth, I mean, and that's part of, as we get older, my childhood punishment is now my goal, because you learned what's important.
Exactly. So let's talk a little bit more about what people can do to relax and unwind. What are some of your suggestions?
So some very important things are developing routines in your life. I would say that is the number one important thing, and it goes back all through history. I mean, there's a reason that militaries, especially, the U.S. military, even other militaries, look at in history, the Asia, look at Genghis Khan, look at Napoleon, look at all these armies that conquered the world, Alexander the Great. What did they do? They had a routine. They had all of the troops with a specific routine. They all woke up the same. Now, I'm not advocating for like a communist or a socialism type routine where everything is the same, but I mean, like, in your life, have an individual routine so that each and every day you've got a schedule. Now, it could vary. Maybe you wake up between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m., not on the dot at 7 every day. And, your breakfast could be a window of time, or maybe you have a shake one day, or a Pop-Tart another, or bacon and eggs another, whatever. But some sort of a stable routine. And, this helps in us, let's just say normal or regular operating adults and children. But it even more helps with, you see, what do schools do for kids, especially with disabilities? They get them in a routine right away. Why? Because then these children understand, hey, this is how my day works. This is what I expect every day. I'm not going to be caught off guard. I'm not going to have an anxiety attack. I'm not going to have a panic attack. I'm not going to have autism or Asperger's or anything on the spectrum start to flare up, because they know the schedule, they have the routine, and they can count on it. And so for you or any other adult or child who doesn't have any of those disabilities, the routine will help as well. And that, I think, is pretty much the number one thing that someone could do to relax and unwind, is just to have that steady routine and know what you're doing. Plan your life. If you don't make a plan for your life, someone else will. And that includes your day, and whether that someone else is an out of the blue phone call, or a parent or something. I mean, someone's planning your life, and it's either
That's
you
right.
or it's someone around you that's influencing you. And if you
I
have,
want to just jump in when you were talking about the routines. One
yeah,
of my friends was a memory man. He could go around, hear everyone's name, 50 names, and then an hour later go and tell everybody their name, sort of thing, right? And so I was talking to him one day, and he said, the real secret to having a good memory, Scott? And I said, no. And he said, the real secret is not having to remember. And I looked at him like, what are you talking about? He says, your keys. How often do you lose your keys? All the time. Yeah, because you put your keys over there, you put your keys over there, you put your keys over there. You never remember where they are. Someone sticks something on top. Yep. He says, pick one place, put your keys in that place religiously every single time, and then you never have to worry. And so this is one of the things that I do a lot of, is something happens, I think, okay, I can't find t-shirts. That's because I've been sticking them all over the place and they're lost. So I'm going to put all my t-shirts in the second drawer. And now when I want a t-shirt, I don't have to remember anything about my t-shirts. I go to the second drawer and they're there.
It's always there.
It's always there, right? The keys are always hung up on a hook.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of traveling. Right now I'm in Medellin, Colombia, and in a couple of days I'm going to be in Panama. So if I'm staying at a house, or or an Airbnb or a hotel, I look at the place and I say, that's where I'm going to put my wallet every time. And that's where I'm going to put my keys. And over there's where I'm going to put this and that and everything else. And you know what? If I don't, like, if one day it's like, I'm tired, it's rainy, just forget it. I spend 20 minutes looking for my keys or looking for my wallet. This morning, I put my wallet on the desk. I have a black cap. I always put it in the black cap along with the change and the keys, right? Because I don't have a hook. And I look in my black cap, it's not there. It was right out in plain sight on my desk. And it took me 20 minutes to find it. Right? So find a place for everything, put it in its
It's
place, and then you don't have to. And then I'm not stressed, right? Like,
right. You're not stressed. That's the big thing. I've always lived by a principle. It's everything has a home. And so, and like you said, when you get to a new place, everything still has a home, even though it's not your home. That's where I'm going to put my keys. That's where my bag is going to be. That's where this is going to go. And if you take something, put it back. And a lot of things that you say, well, what about when you have kids, or what about when you have a spouse and they move your things? Okay, teach them, hey, first of all, if it's not yours, don't touch it. And
or
if
what
you
if you
do
have
touch
a
it,
person coming in
put it
cleaning your
back.
hotel room every day?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, where
And
did
it's
you
the
put
same
this?
thing. If you touch something of someone else's, put it back exactly where you got it, because everything has a home. And this goes back to a deeply seated psychological part of our brains, and historically, what are we made for? Primitively, it's fight or flight. And so we have to know our gear. When we look at the grand scheme of things, if we're going out into the world, we're in combat mode. And if I need my knife and I reach here, and it's like, wait a minute, my knife is on this shoulder. Well, and I reach here, I'm dead. Or I need my gun and it's here, or I need this and it's here, or I need my whatever first aid kit. Everything has to have a place. And that's where it is. It's so important for soldiers in battle, but it's also important for us. And that concept helps our daily lives so much. And when if you start to enact that in your life, you're going to realize, like you said, like your friend said, the secret to having a good memory is not having to remember. If everything has a place, you automatically know where everything is. There are no doubt those people in your life where you say, how does mom always know where everything is? You ask her, she always knows. Yeah, because she remembers that, oh, your wallet is usually in one of those 5 spots, or you usually left your coat either on the floor or on the hook or on the back of the couch where it's not supposed to be, but she knows. So she doesn't have to remember. She just knows that's where it's going to be.
Right. You're describing my mom to a T. So I guess one of the we're not really talking about it, but it's very close to what we're talking about, is clutter. How
Yeah.
much of an impact has clutter on our ability to like unwind?
Mm. Clutter is huge. Just look at the top of your dresser or your desk and see, is it full of stuff? And this is a big male female difference. Men, we kind of see things and it's like we have a little coffee table. There might be like one thing on there, maybe a coaster, and there's nothing on the coaster, but that coaster is to hold my coffee cup in the morning. Women, there might be like a doily and then a little piece of fabric and maybe a big bowl filled with all kinds of stuff of decorations, because they have this desire to put stuff on top of surfaces. And men, we kind of like them open. But for both of us, we like everything clutter free. Now, the difference might be if you're a man, you wipe the whole counter off or the dresser off, and you're like, wow, it looks like, number one, I have so much more room in this space. This room all of a sudden got bigger. The room didn't get bigger. You just got rid of the clutter and it makes the room appear bigger. The other thing is that for females, if they like those decorations, if there's all kinds of clutter around it, around the decorations, now they're stressed double, because they're stressed about the clutter and then they're stressed about the stuff that's impeding their decorations. And so it works both ways. Men and women have the same type of psychological response to clutter. So it's super important that if there's anything, just whatever it is, it could be pens that you have just setting somewhere, put them up in a nice little cup and they'll look a lot better. Things will look bigger, things will look neater. You will be able to walk into a room and kind of breathe easy, because it's not like, oh, this is so overwhelming and it's cramping my style. Those sayings that we have, they come from a lot of things. If you have a lot of clutter, it's weighing down on you. That's cramping you. If it's open, you're more open. and the room seems bigger, and you can breathe easy when you walk into your bedroom and the bed's made, or you walk into the bedroom and it's
Yes.
all twisted up, and you're like, which one would you prefer?
Right, exactly.
You know?
And the ultimate clutter is the hoarder, the person that
Oh
keeps
yeah.
every single thing.
Yep.
And you reminded me of a friend of mine, two friends of mine got married, and he was a hoarder, and she had to know, but she got married, and like the first thing that she did was clear out the house. Now it was a story house, and on one side was a lane, right? So she's going up and she's grabbing these boxes of 25-year-old magazines, taking them down. She had a dumpster on the other side of the fence, and she'd throw them into the dumpster. She made literally hundreds of trips up and down. And finally, she's starting to clear out the top, and she pulls a bunch of stuff away from the wall, and there's a door. And,
oh no!
And she looks at the door. She looks at him. She opens the door, and it basically goes out into space. And
Another
she's looking
room.
down on the other side of the fence. Like there's a fence there, and on the other side is the street.
Okay.
And she looks at him and said, "Did you know that door was there?" Because she could have just gone to the door and thrown everything out the door.
Oh, right. Oh, man. It's even worse.
It's even worse, right?
Oh,
and
man.
he had this sheepish look and
clutter.
So clutter,
Yeah.
like it, and
It's
just really,
it's a big part of it. And it's not only our own stress, but it's also it interacts with our behavior. So if you have clutter all around you, you might be a little bit more tense. You might be a little bit more on edge. You're like a balloon waiting to pop. And then someone else might make a remark that you don't agree with, or start talking, or something happens, and all of a sudden you blow and you take it out on that person. And it really wasn't anything they did. It was just that you were a boiling pot already from all of this stuff that's going on in your life, the clutter, your phone going off all the time because you have thousands of notifications that keep popping up that you, oh man, feel like you always have to dismiss. Turn them off. Go into the settings for each certain app and shut them off, and only get the notifications you want. It takes 10 minutes, and all of a sudden, wow, my phone isn't so frustrating anymore. Or your computer, or any of it, your email, calendar, you name it.
great advice.
Yeah, I mean, we control our lives. There's an old saying that I really like. You're getting a lot of gold nuggets here. It's, you feel that way because you want to. And that's a truth. I could title a book that.
That is, that's really,
it's deep. People who
that's a dart
are
to the
angry
heart.
all the time, you must love being angry. No, I don't. I hate it. Well, you're angry all the time. If you didn't like it, you wouldn't be angry.
Right.
My life is always in chaos. I don't know why. You create it. No, I don't. I hate it. You must create it, and you must like it. Or drama. Pick your poison.
Right. Right.
So.
You reminded me of another friend of mine who he said, how did he put it? The question is not, why can't I have what I want? The question is, why do you want what you have?
Right. Yeah. And if you don't want what you have, why do you have it?
Right. I want drama. Like, so if you live a life, like you were saying, if you live a life full of drama, then at the subconscious level, you want it. So now you have to figure out that whole puzzle in order to let go of whatever it is that you need to let, or heal, or like whatever needs to happen. It could be a number of things. And then all of a sudden you'll find, oh, I don't have drama. I had a friend, he made around $19,000 a month. Like,
holy moly.
Check. Yeah. The problem was he spent $25,000 a month. Don't ask me how. Okay. So he did, so he was like he was stressed, right? He wasn't relaxed. I'm making all this money, but I'm going deeper and deeper in debt. And because I'm making all this money, the bank gives me more money to go deeper and deeper in debt. And so he did a lot of personal development work. I don't know what the answers were that he discovered, but after about 4 or 5 or 6 months, we have coffee, and he says, Scott, he said, I made $9,000 last month. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. No, he says, it's great. He says, I put 5,000 in the bank.
Yeah, he figured it out. It's so funny. Yeah, when I I mean, everyone has periods in their life when I was really, really broke, and I would make like, some people would make more in a month than I made in a year, and it was like, and they said, how are you making ends meet? How are your bills being paid? How do you have clothing? How do you have food? And how do I not? Because they were making so much more money. And the answer is, like your friend discovered, whatever amount you have to have a plan for those dollars. If you don't have a plan for your money, someone else does, and they're going to take it. It's there's a proverb: money flows from the hands of those who know how to manage it into or opposite that, from the hands of those who don't know how to manage it into the hands of those who do. Because if you don't know how to manage your money, someone else who knows how to manage money is going to take it from you. Or the old saying that I really like is, the man with the money meets the man with the experience, and the man with the experience gets the money, and the man with the money gets the experience. So
That's awesome.
it's
That's awesome. I
there's a
want you
lot
to
of
say
stuff.
that again, because I want to make you full screen, because I
Okay.
might take this clip out. Okay. So when you're
All
full
right.
screen, I want you to repeat it.
The man with the money gets the let me start over here. There's an old saying that the man with the experience meets the man with the money, and the man with the experience gets the money, and the man with the money gets the experience.
That is brilliant. That is
Yeah.
brilliant. All
Yeah.
right. So we're here because of the Abundant Super Stack. And so I think this is a good time to talk about your contribution to the Super Stack. It's only available Black Friday week,
That's right.
and then I think Cyber Monday and Terrific Tuesday. I don't know what they call the
Yeah,
Tuesday.
all
So
the special holiday promotions.
that's right. So tell us a little bit about Relax and Unwind, and what it is and what people can expect when they get it in the Super Pack.
Yeah, so it's a great ebook on relaxing and unwinding. So you can remember that title, Relax and Unwind, and it's a book that's organized in several chapters on pretty much how to declutter and de-stress your life. I got it right here, how to organize and declutter your life. Kind of a glare because the cover is a little glossy, but that's the hard copy, and you can get the ebook for free, which is awesome. It's a great contribution. It'll really help you out. It pretty much is going to go through all of these little tips in life, some of which we've been talking about, but on why, first of all, why am I so stressed? You can recognize that. And then what do I do about it? It's like the saying that if you can't change the people in your world, change the people in your world. We have that in there. That's one of those topics. Another thing is when people say like, well, why don't you have this? And you say, well, that's not possible in my world. Then change your world. Well, how do you change your world? What do you do about that? How to get rid of clutter, in your house, practical tips for, what should I do with the things around my living room or my sitting room or on my dresser? Where do they go? How should I arrange it? Having that routine in your life, sticking to a schedule and what that'll do for you. A lot of these great little tips to help you truly relax and unwind and organize and declutter your life.
Beautifully said, Spencer. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I know we're getting a little bit over time, but I'm having a great.
This is good.
This is good. So we're going to go on for a few more minutes, because
Great.
One of the things that really stresses people out are toxic people. Mm-hmm. And there's two types of toxic people, in my opinion. One is family that you cannot get rid of.
Right.
You can't get rid of. And then everybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I could, maybe there's other types too that you would want to bring up. But so when we have people that are, and maybe we should define toxic. These are people that just chip away at your confidence, chip away at your being, chip away at your peace, and all the rest of it. It could be the most beautiful day, you're sitting on the beach, blah, 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 and you get this person texting you, and all of a sudden you're enrolled in some drama in their life. Might not have anything to do with you, but they're just dumping it on.
That's
so
right.
There's one example, sort of thing. So what can people do to I mean, because you're not going to have, you're not going to be able to relax when these people are just constantly
can't.
after you.
Your brain will be engaged with them. And so there are a few types of people that, like I said, the toxic people that are family members, the toxic people that are everybody else, but then you have levels of them. And so it depends on what level they are. You have people who are like energy vampires who basically, anytime they're around you, they're drawing their energy off of you. And so they function by, whether they know it or not, they function by taking other people's energy, just zapping it out of you, and you lose your energy. You become drained, you become tired, maybe even physically your body aches, things like that. And these people are just thriving. They love it, whether they know it or not. And so them, whether they're family or not, you have to separate yourself from them or limit that interaction. And some people are just chronic drama. You don't want drama in your life, so you have to stay away from them. Some people are always negative, the glass half empty all the time. It could be a beautiful day, or there's a tree and the tree is gorgeous, but they say, look at that one dead branch. How about the other whole part of the tree that looks amazing? Let's look at that maybe. Those types of people. And then we also have the people who are complaining about everything. Oh, it's not complaining, I'm venting to you. No, it's complaining. And there are a lot of things. I mean, people who are read the Bible or any other religion that they might be, complaining is something that's brought up in virtually every religious text, and they say it's not good. Why? Because it drains your soul. It drains your mind. When people keep bringing up the negative, it's negativity. And people say, I don't want negativity in my life. What is negativity? Complaining, venting, all of these things. So you have to distance yourself from all of them. Now, you say, okay, that might be easier said than done. Change the people in your life. If you can't change them, change the people in your life. Well, I can't really just get rid of my family. So then you need to set up something called boundaries. Now, this is very, very important. There are different levels of access to your life. So if you have some family members maybe that are super draining or super negative or are energy vampires or complaining all the time, love chaos, love drama, you say, all right, look, they do not deserve level 10 access in my life. I do not want to be with them every single day. They don't deserve that, because if they have this access, my life is horrible. So you say, I'll give them like level 2 access. So maybe that means if they call you 3 times a day, maybe you only answer the call once. Or maybe you only answer the call once a week. Or maybe you set up a time with them and you define a boundary and say, look, every Tuesday at 3:00, we'll talk for an hour. That's it. You set the boundary, because then if they stop respecting that boundary, and if they say, well, I know you said every Tuesday at 3, but now I want to call you here, here, and here, you don't have to answer. You set the boundary. And so that's really the main point, whether they're a family member or not, whatever type of toxic person they are, you need to set the boundaries with these people who are toxic in your life. And if that boundary is, hey, we're done. I am different now. I need to make new friends. We need to go our separate ways. No hard feelings. See you later. Or if it's, look, man, you can only talk to me once a week. We're going to meet for coffee and I only have an hour, or whatever the case may be, you got to set that boundary. And if they stop respecting it, then that boundary needs to go less. If you said, yeah, I gave you an hour and you tried to talk for an hour and a half, next time you only get a half hour because you didn't respect me. And they need to know that you're firm, or they'll walk all over you.
Right. I actually have a friend similar to what you're just talking about, and he'll call me once a week, once every 2 or 3 weeks. So it's not very often,
Mm-hmm.
but by the time we get to about 45 minutes, I've had enough.
Oh, yeah.
And he's starting to repeat himself. So it's kind of like he just wants that it's an energetic thing, like you keep talking. So usually at about 45 minutes, I just say, hey man, I got to go now. I got a couple of things I got to do. Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem. And he'll try and drag it on like it's a long goodbye. Right. But I'll just say, no, I got to go, see you later, and bye, and click and hang up.
I think we just identified with every single viewer. We all have someone like that in our lives.
Yeah. The other thing I was thinking about when you were talking was because you talked about energy vampires, and of course all of this stuff is energy, right? And we can decide, although we rarely do, in my opinion,
Hmm.
how much of the energy we're going to let go, or how we're going to work with this energy, or all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember when my children were 8, 9, 10, 11, in around there, one of the things I realized was people were going to get mad at them in their life. No one
Right.
goes through life without someone getting mad, right? So I decided one day, we're going to practice madness, like mad, angry, not mad, not being insane. And so I'm walking down the street with like an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old, and I'm yelling at them and I'm pretending I'm mad, right? And they're just they're having a great time.
Oh yeah, they're loving it.
They're loving it, right? And then after a few minutes, my youngest son said, "Dad, those people over there, they think you're really mad at me." And I look at him and I said, "Well, am I really mad at you? No, we're having a great time." but I think that's something that we don't do, right? Is we don't
Right.
ever really kind of embrace all of these emotions that we have access to, that we express in our lives, because some are bad and not good and unpleasant, and we're not used to them. And I think it's kind of funny to not funny. It can be fun, and because
Interesting.
because I really wanted my children to be able to. Someone's mad at you. I don't want you freaking out. I want
Right.
you sitting there.
How do you handle it?
Yeah, take the energy, like let it flow through or bounce off, or like whatever happens, so that you can make a decision, right? Because
Right.
you're, like you said, we're fight or flight, and I don't want them fighting if they're just not making any. It's no thought, right? If the
Right.
reaction is to fight, they're probably going to get beat up,
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And-
Or get in trouble.
or get in trouble.
Yeah.
And if it's to run and they don't think about it, like maybe the guy can run faster than them.
Right. Or they run into a building or off a cliff or step in a pothole. Right. I mean,
right. So when we're used to being able to deal with that energy.
And that's a big part of relaxation. When we're able to relax our minds and our bodies, we're able to take any of that negative energy, whether someone's angry or whatever's going on, that doesn't phase us because our own energy is under control. So then when something happens, whether it's a something in your life, you get in a car accident or a flat tire, or you notice someone egged your house, you have no control over these things, but you can accept, like, I don't have any control over it. So if I can get mad and I can swear and I can curse and I can break stuff, but what did that solve? Nothing. So that was worthless. That was a pointless expenditure of that energy. You just took that the wrong way. And we all know people that do that. Or we can react and say, yeah, that's terrible that happened. I'm glad I didn't get hurt. I'm glad, the eggs didn't break the windows. Sure, now I got to go out and scrub my siding, but, could be worse. It's all in how you look at it. It's perspective. And if you have your own energy under control, when those external things happen, you're much better prepared to handle that energy. And it's almost like the judo mentality of using someone else's momentum against them. When someone gets angry and is just yelling at you like this all the time, if I'm healthy enough in my own energy and in my own mind, I can take that and I can respond appropriately. I don't need to get angry, but a lot of times if someone starts yelling or getting angry, we can just start talking a little softer. We can start talking a little slower. We can smile. We can nod our head. And all of a sudden, this person who's angry will stop being angry. And it's like, wait a minute, what did we do? We didn't really do anything. We just didn't respond. Momentum. We killed their energy. We took they came at us like this, and we came in like this, and they came right down to our level. And it happens all the time. People just don't realize it. And then if they do, they don't really remember how they did it. And so then the next time it happens, they get angry. And it's all about controlling yourself and then having a plan and preparing.
Yeah, you said something that reminded me of, and now I can't remember the exact point, but my son had a new roof put on, and because of the snow and the rain where he lives, the water ended up backing up into the roof and then ruining his kitchen.
Oh man!
And like within 2 weeks, that was his reaction, right? And I looked at him and I said, "This is awesome. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? Awesome. Look at this mess. I says, yeah, but you know what? If this had happened 5 years, 10 years from now, you probably wouldn't know who to call. Like, you probably couldn't remember who did your roof and all that stuff. You got it all now. They can't say, well, it wasn't our roof or whatever, because it obviously was. So he goes, oh, yeah. So, I mean, they're gonna fix it. And you're never going to have this problem again. Oh,
and you might get a new kitchen out of the deal.
Well, he did get a new kitchen out of the deal.
Yeah.
And that kitchen is like, the old kitchen was 30 years old. The new kitchen.
So there we go.
There you go. Right. So, but I mean, he was just fuming, and Dad comes up and says, "Oh, this is great news." And it's like, what the hell are you talking about?
It's perspective is everything. You know, it's like with the hurricanes that have been going on, and I mean, Florida has been decimated, and you know, I'm not saying like, oh yeah, having your condo demolished is a good thing. You know, it's not. Or a tornado in the upper Midwest. That's where I live. And we have tornadoes, we have floods, we got bugs, we got all kinds of problems. And it's like, anytime something happens, it's a perspective on how you look at it. And most of the time, there's always a silver lining. So like with the instance of your son, his kitchen was 30 years old. If he wanted to remodel that kitchen, it probably would cost him $50,000. Now, all of a sudden, the problem happens with his roof. Guess what? You got an updated kitchen, and it didn't cost you $50,000. You just gained $50,000 in a brand new kitchen that you're going to love. You know, yes, you had to go through some, you know, muck to get there, but you got there.
The muck was going to be there no matter what.
Right. It is. It's, you know,
sooner or later
of mine
you
had a house fire, and their house was burned up, and they're like, oh man. And they said, well, no one was hurt. We have really good insurance. So they got into a rental for a whole year while their house was being rebuilt. And when their house got rebuilt, it was all up to date. Everything was upgraded. They added on some extra rooms. They made it just their dream home. And so I said, would you do it over again? And they said, no, probably not, because the emotion and the trauma of losing all that stuff in the fire was so painful. But we're really glad with what we have now, because it's so much better. And they were glad before too, but you could look at it as in like, I can't believe that fire happened and I lost all my stuff years ago. Or you could say, I'm really glad that we have such a nice new house. It's perspective.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Gratitude, another secret.
The attitude of gratitude.
Factor. Yeah. So we're coming we're well past when we should have ended. Thank you, Spencer, for being part of this conversation. I've really enjoyed it. I hope everybody watching really enjoys it. I don't always remember to do. Thank you. I don't always remember to do this, but I'm hoping to remember to do it for this whole series, and that is ending with a tip. So I'm going to give you 10 seconds to think, because I have a little video, and then a super tip for everybody, and we're going to leave on that note.
I would say today's tip would be, look at your life as if it is the last day you're ever going to live. And how would you do it? How could you impact more people? And what type of memory would you want to leave? Do you want them to see you feeling stressed and frantic? Or do you want them to see you being calm and relaxed and the person that they would always look to for help and advice?
Beautiful. Thank you, Spencer.
The tip kind of caught me by surprise there. I'm like, oh man, what can I say that we haven't said yet? You know?
Yeah. Well, you said something very beautiful, and I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you. I want to remind everybody, the Abundant Super PAC links are in the description and probably in the comments. Click on it, get it. It's only available for a little while, and I mean, it's going to change your life, and hopefully you've got a taste of that from our time together today. So with that, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Spencer, and we'll see you. I guess we'll see you tomorrow if you join us for the live stream tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern, same channel and same place.